that's a good question. I think probably there are a lot of similarities between Russia and Africa generally, in a way that unfortunately these are all very corrupted countries. People in Russia are very well educated, and I think this is what Africa needs a lot. Nowhere else. I mean, it's not just back home. Nowhere else. I mean, simply, I think it's in Africa only.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Very good, and you?
I'm good. What's your good name?
I'm Max.
Oh, Max. Nice to meet you. So where are you from, Max?
I'm originally from Russia.
So for how long have you been around?
Just a few days. I came for a weekend.
Oh, for a weekend, huh? Great. Any culture shock you got when you came to Kenya?
I would say what I see around is quite impressive, because I have been to Africa quite a lot. I mean, to a few countries around, but I haven't seen such a busy place and such a vibrant place, and so many young people who are very active, very different. They all do different things, all do different dances, different songs, all look different, and I mean, there is so much energy around.
It's beautiful, in short, yeah? That is what happens on Sunday, yeah? And it's usually beautiful. So you have said you have been to several African countries, yeah? You can name several.
I've been to South Africa, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Mauritius, and probably a few more. Okay.
So what was your first impression about Kenya?
Well, it feels very safe and developed, especially after other countries, and very friendly. I mean, you can feel it that it's quite a nice place to be.
Wow, great, huh? So have you tried any Kenyan food for those few days you have been around?
I don't remember the name, but I have tried some very specific meat on the way from Masai, because I made my trip to Masai.
That should be nyama choma, a roasted meat?
Yeah, it was some roasted meat on the bones, so it was very, very special, yeah. That was interesting, because I've never tried a meat like that.
You had it with some ugali, or?
Yeah, it was, I don't remember the name yet, but it was the thing. I was impressed. Actually, these are the two things that impressed me the most, Kibera slums and Masai, because both with slums and Masai, it's not far from, but somehow it's a very different life, and you have millions of people who live a very different life. And then, like with Masai, I mean, they preserve the culture, they preserve the traditions, and they're very close to like this modern life, but still they manage to live it. And that's again very impressive, because you have some tribes who live in the wilderness, but this is not the wilderness. I mean, they live by the road, and there is a car, there is everything. Some of them they have phones, but still it works the same way. So that was very impressive.
I want to get a picture of how you viewed Africa before you came to, maybe before you visited your first African country. How was it for you, and what was the difference between how you see it on the TV and you came on the ground?
Yeah. So basically I had this image of Africa like, there is Africa, which is all similar and all the same and just one thing, but the more I travel in Africa, the more I realize that there is no such a thing like Africa. I mean, these are all different countries, and different cultures, different life, different people, and practically I wouldn't say Africa now. At least, I would define like, are you talking about central part or western part or eastern part or northern part? Because it's very, very different. I mean, you can't compare these things. And then also in terms of how people live and how safe it is, and the nature also. I mean, I was like, for instance, in Uganda, I was impressed. That's one of the most beautiful countries I have seen, nature-wise. I mean, it's not just about animals. It's about landscapes and lakes and mountains and everything. And that's what people don't think about Africa. When they think about Africa, they just think about this, plain fields with animals and a couple of trees. Exactly. But it's not just about animals. I mean, like this time I came, I haven't done any safari or anything like that, because I came not for animals. I came just to explore the culture, the people, and this type of things. Because I have realized that Africa is more than animals.
Yes.
It's actually a very vibrant place, and to be probably like the most interesting thing is you have the majority of youth now actually worldwide.
Yeah.
And this youth is very different, and it's very active, and it's very authentic. And this is very cool because it's not like somewhere, I don't know, in Europe or in the US, even in Asia, because in Asia they try to copy everything. They want to look like, let's say, Americans, etc. And here it feels like people, they try to find their own way, and this is cool.
This is cool. Great. Any similarity you have seen between Kenya and Russia?
That's a good question. I think probably there are a lot of similarities between Russia and Africa generally, in a way that unfortunately these are all very corrupted countries that are run by, let's say, not the most efficient management. And unfortunately this is the similarity that strikes me a lot, because likewise in Russia, Russia is a country which has a lot of resources and a lot of talented people, and the same in Africa. You have a lot of resources, you have a lot of talented people, but unfortunately the leadership of all these countries is not so strong, let's put it this way. and that's why these countries, they can't achieve their potential. And this is very similar for Russia and for any African country and for many Latin American countries. So unfortunately, this is the thing that this is the thing that makes them similar.
Oh
but
my.
Otherwise, they're very different.
They are very different. Great. Anything you have seen in Kenya and you don't have back home?
Say it again.
Anything you have seen in Kenya or any other African country and you don't have it back home at Russia?
Many things. Like
you mean just two then?
I will name two. I would say first, Africa is probably the most colorful place I have seen.
Woo! A thumbs up for that.
Yes. Because I mean, if you just look at the people, I mean, at any people, anywhere. I mean, I can endlessly take photos of people here, let's say, because they're all very different. They are all beautiful in their own way, and they all try to express themselves. And I think that comes a lot from basically even these tribes like Maasai, which are also very colorful. And generally, and even when you're in some places, I've been to some really distant villages in Uganda, and you can still see some ladies which are like dressed colorfully, and they're very beautiful. And so these colors, I think this is something that there's no other place in the world where you have nowhere else. I mean, it's not just back home, nowhere else. I mean, simply, I think it's in Africa only where you can see people who are so colorful and so different. So and the second thing is energy. Because actually, even if Kibera slums, I would say you have more energy than in the majority of European cities. Because,
why do you say that?
Yeah, because people are poor, but you can feel that they're actually positive, they're smiling, they want to do things, they want to change things. So it feels very different, and you can feel this energy everywhere in Africa, I would say. And even here, I mean, if you look around, there's so much energy. Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. It's full of energy.
Yeah.
So when you walk around the streets, I mean, you feel that it's all moving.
Great. What would you like to tell someone who is back home in Russia or who is back home in Europe? How is Africa for you? Is it safe for someone to travel from Russia and come enjoy here? Tell them, how is Africa?
Yeah, I mean, you should go to Africa because Africa is different. Okay, probably there are some places where you shouldn't go, but there are so many places where you should go, and it's actually safe, and it's interesting, and you have amazing guides who will take you there, and you have amazing local people. So just go there, enjoy Africa.
Great, that's great. Anything Kenyans can learn from your country? Something we Kenyans can learn from Russians?
Well, from Russians, it's hard to. I mean, it's hard to say if there is something very specific about Russians. But the only thing that was good for Russia, but yeah, I think there is something specific that Soviet USSR had a very good educational system.
Oh, educational.
And actually Russia inherited it. Yeah. And that's why people in Russia are very well educated.
Yeah.
And I think this is what Africa needs a lot.
Yes.
Because, for the people to do better jobs, And hopefully now you have internet. I mean, you can work online, you can compete with anyone in the world.
Yes.
But you need to be educated. You need to have better English. You need to have better skills. And I think this is what Africa can learn from Russia, because Russia has a very strong educational system, like many Soviet USSR countries. And this is what Africa is missing. So if Africa has a better education, things will move better.
They'll do something about it. Huh? Last, what makes you smile?
Like I said, I mean, energy. I mean, I can't explain very specific things, but it's just about what do you feel around, what do you feel from the people. And this is exactly what you have in Africa. Like every time I feel, I come to Africa, I come back like fulfilled. I really feel like a lot of energy. But this is especially when you go to not touristic places. I mean, you shouldn't go to, because when you go to touristic places, it's like everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if you go to Africa or somewhere else. You have same hotels, same people, same tourists, same everything. But when you go to places like this, I mean, this is where you feel the difference. This is where you feel the energy.
Great. You have told me that you have been in several African countries. Huh? I want you to name just 3 African cities.
Oh, look. Let's take one from each. So
One from each.
yeah.
Great.
So let it be Cape Town, because
Town,
this is the one I really love.
Yeah.
Kampala.
Kampala.
This was very nice as well. And Nairobi should be third. It should be there. It should be in the list.
Yes, Nairobi should be the Nairobi should be number 1.
Well, I didn't rate it. I mean, it's not rated.
Yeah, it's not rated. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just 3 that I have in my mind, because I spent some time, some decent time in these places, and I felt what it is like. And actually, all these 3 cities are very different. I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about. That I mean, they're all in Africa, but these are all very different places. So, yeah.
Thank you so much
you.
for
You're
coming
welcome.
through on my interview. I really appreciate for giving me your time and enjoy your stay in Africa.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you, because you know I had to invest into that. I made so many videos myself, so now I kind of pay back.
And thank you so much for giving us your stories. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.